Kos, a stunning Greek island lying in the heart of the Aegean Sea, famous for its stunning beaches, lush vegetation, and historical landmarks. It is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the Dodecanese Islands. Despite attracting almost 1 million tourists a year, it is greatly underappreciated. The Dodecanese Islands are a collection of islands on the east side of Greece in the Aegean Sea. With such close proximity to Turkey, they are the perfect destination for every keen traveller with an eye for Greek culture. I myself spent a week in Kos, not long ago at the start of April this year, when there were few tourists. We spent the week absorbing as much of the culture and scenery as we could, exploring the whole range of the island, from the east coast with the iconic Kos Town to the very west end of the island. It was an unforgettable time, and that's why I have compiled a thorough list of the best places to visit and the best things to do in Kos, based on my time here. I hope you find this video useful. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you have anything else to add on to the list. Let's get into it. The flight we took to Kos was truly a remarkable one. We flew with EasyJet, a good 4 hours from Bristol Airport, and we had incredible views of the Alps in France and Switzerland. In our first moments on the island, we saw roaming chickens, goats, and stray cats who seemed completely fed up with life. There were all these mini churches on the road or in people's gardens that we kept on seeing. The actual Orthodox churches were especially pretty, especially when we heard chanting from the inside. Kos Town, the capital city of Kos, known for its big port with boats, yachts and ferries, and for its ancient Roman Greek ruins. It was from here that we were able to take a ferry to Bodrum, Turkey for the day. Going along the coast, past the port, was one of the main beaches, with crystal clear waters, yet a windy atmosphere. The town itself is presented with a variety of ruins scattered around, my favourite being the abandoned village with the destroyed temple and baths. The theatre was interesting too. This is the Nymphaeum, and apparently it was a luxury lavatory used in the 2nd century BC. Apparently they thought it was a temple for Aphrodite and Hercules, but later on it turned out it's just a lavatory. And there were some temples as well, temple ruins. This whole place is called the ancient gymnasium Kos. That's where we are now. Kos Town is also famous for its old town, which you can reach by going deeper into the city centre. Here we saw many fancy shops, museums, restaurants, Orthodox churches, and of course stray cats. And I mean a lot of stray cats. Even this one that perched itself on a motorbike. In one of the tourist shops, I saw the most remarkable chessboard I've ever seen in my life, going for over €200. My favourite shop was definitely the one with all the traditional Greek foods and drinks, things you will only buy here. Baklava, ouzo, different herbs and spices, different desserts, a natural dandelion tea that I still enjoy to this day, and some souvenirs. If you carry on across the east side of the coast, you will travel to the southeast tip of the island, through a long winding road that gives the most stunning cliff views as you drive. We occasionally stopped to admire the view, and we were met with very shy mountain goats that ran away. We followed the road until we couldn't anymore. From here, it was possible to take a hiking route to the very tip of the island on the cliff, but we didn't have time. This is the absolute end of Kos, in a way. It looks to be like an edge. And there's a small village there, Aegean beach, which seems to be quite popular. And now we're presented with this gentle cove. We see the Turkish island there, Bodrum, and etc. And the Turkish mainland is that way. Kos is that way, so it's past Kos. But this is the island. Don't know the name of it. But it's very windy today, and the water looks to be very rough. So yeah, the country goes on, the island goes on from here, but it kind of tips off there. That kind of tip is the tip of the island, and then it kind of curves around to Kos. But here, you know, it's nice. Our accommodation was in Tigaki, but a couple minutes drive along the main road was the town of Zipari, where we found the best cafe in all of Kos, Cafe Special, with the best ice cream, coffee and sandwiches. Best cafe in Kos, absolutely best cafe. Special. You have to go here if you're in Kos. Amazing. In Zipari we also found a gym with a reasonable price that we went to a few times. There was so much to explore in Zipari. Even walking across the main road we stumbled on abandoned buildings, Orthodox churches and cool houses. The sunset was lovely as we ran back home from a workout. Look at this though! This is a view! Oh my days! Evening run after gym in Kos, in Zipari to be precise, and we have this view. Oh. Let's go! We're speeding along! In our village there was also a beach, where me and my brother went swimming one evening in the sunset. The water was cold and the weather windy, but it was great swimming in the sea, seeing the sunset to the left and to the right and straight on, all the neighbouring islands in the distance. One of the biggest highlights of the trip was definitely climbing Mount Dikeos. The mountain, at 846 meters above sea level, is the highest point of Kos, and calls for a 3-mile hike each way. It lies in the middle of the mountain stretch on the south coast of the island, and all it required of us was a 15-minute drive to the village of Zia, where our trail started. It was the most exciting adventure. We saw tourists that were on our flight. We reached the summit full of pride, enjoyed the view and hiked back down. We tried our luck asking some local farmers on the mountain for some fresh eggs and were lucky. The best part was seeing not one, but 2 wild tortoises one time when we drifted off the trail. The little guys were hesitant, but soon gave way and poked their little head out for a pet. An interesting experience was the town of Kefalos, on the other side of the island, over half an hour of driving. We planned to go to a water park, but it was closed because it wasn't season yet, so we went to a nice beach instead. Calm, tranquil waters with the mountain range in the background. The town of Kefalos was a lot less touristy, a lot more local. It had a completely different feeling to Kos Town. It felt like a true Greek neighbourhood. Some local Greek kids gave me a secret tour of an elementary school that had been destroyed in an earthquake. All the books and tables scattered all around made it seem as if it had happened yesterday. So I just met some Greek kids. They gave me a tour of like an abandoned school, abandoned primary school. Apparently it was destroyed in an earthquake. I don't know whether that's a recent earthquake or many years ago, but it's got like all the books and everything like on the floor. It literally looks like rubble, all in rubble. Upside down TVs, half smashed. It's crazy. We had what was one of the best views of Kos Island to date. On the top of the cliff was a castle, and from here we could see all the island, all the towns and villages ahead. A huge advantage of Kos is its location, lying so close to Turkey. We were able to take a ferry to Bodrum, a Turkish coastal city for the day, for €30 per person. This gets you a return ticket, 20 minutes each way, no visa required. Despite the awful waves rocking you till you're sick for 20 minutes straight, the time in Turkey was a nice cultural switch. There were crazy amounts of tourists on the coastal shops. We went to the big market, or bazaar as they call it. We were able to buy fresh figs, fresh Turkish delight, and other fancy treats. It's probably the highlight. Turkish market place. Called bazaar. Look. All sorts of Turkish foods and drinks, delicacies, sweets. We had a great meal in a coastal restaurant, and I bought myself some flashy Louis Vuitton sunglasses for €5 before we boarded back onto the ferry. All in all, a great investment into something different for the day. It was our final day in Kos, and we wished to spend it in the best way possible. We had explored so much already, and we wondered if anything could blow us away even more. Having only spent a day in the west side of Kos, we decided to dedicate the remaining day to exploring this western peninsula, specifically aiming for a place called Paradise Beach, a very secluded, almost tropical beach. The journey there was by no means easy. Not only was it almost an hour of driving, but the last 20 or so minutes was through the most rough mountainous terrain. There was a point where we couldn't drive any further, and so we parked our car and hiked over 3 kilometers to the beach. We walked through the wildest Greek terrain, stumbled across wild mountain goats, sheep, and another tortoise friend. On finally reaching the opening onto the beach, we were presented with the most majestic, breathtaking view, by far the best beach out of all of Kos, with the name of Paradise Beach fitting perfectly. This is by far the prettiest beach I've ever seen. I mean, I'm not being corny, I'm not over-exaggerating, I'm just saying it based on this view. Honestly, this is like a beach where I feel like no one goes because there's no direct route to it by car, and the trek isn't the easiest, it's quite long, but I've never seen a beach be more worth the hassle, be more worth the long hike. It's just stunning, I don't know what to say, I'm speechless. We made the most of our time here, taking pictures, doing some swimming in the sea. Paradise Beach, the most stunning beach in all of Kos. The West Peninsula, a hidden treasure of the island, hidden away by rough terrain, high cliffs, and wild treks, but a necessity for any keen traveller. I hope you enjoyed this travel video. If you did, please like and subscribe to stay tuned, and see you next time.